I come to you with some breaking news. We have just learned that the former president of the United States is getting hit with $364 million in a fine. This is being leveled by New York. The judge coming through with pretty much the whole amount that they wanted. I mean, the prosecutor had wanted $370 million, and it turns out Donald Trump is expected to pay $364 million. I'll tell you, this is wild. It's going to be appealed, okay? Like, just know that. Because this one particular case, of all the cases out there, and they're pretty outrageous, a lot of them, this one in particular, I got to tell you guys, I say this as someone who has covered business, economics, and politics, but primarily business, Wall Street economics, for the last couple of decades. This one's wild. I mean, this one is really out there and feels very, very Banana Republic-like. I'm just saying it because they're kicking him out of New York, saying you can't do business here for 3 years. Let's keep in mind, Donald Trump borrowed money from a bank, Deutsche Bank. He paid that money back with interest. So guess what? The bank made money. Shareholders in the bank were happy because the bank made money. And Donald Trump, paid it all back. So where is the problem? Where's the problem? Well, the problem, as the attorney that was prosecuting him would see it, is that he apparently inflated some of his assets in terms of square footage, what he thought they were worth, et cetera. A lot of it is certainly on the what you think it's worth, pretty subjective, right? I mean, that's like when you try to get a home equity line of credit or some kind of assessment of your home. The onus is kind of on the bank and the appraiser to do their own due diligence, because you might be like, hey, you know what? I think my $500,000 house is really worth $2 million. Maybe it's worth $2 million to you. The question is, can you trade it for $2 million at that point in time? I think Donald Trump thinks everything he has is worth tons of money. The question is, could it sell that day for that much? Well, that's a very subjective thing. And so if the bank was willing to lend the money, they obviously made the determination that he was a worthwhile credit risk. So how is it that you have rabid prosecutors in the city of New York, in the state of New York, that are like, okay, we're going to take this on. We're going after him. We're going to go after him however we can. And we are going to make the determination that, in fact, he committed a crime here because we don't like what he said on these particular forms. Forget about the fact that the bank was totally fine with it. By the way, you can tell I'm traveling. It's a big enough story, though, that I wanted to come to you as soon as I could with some analysis of this. NBC News was right out of the gate, just, probably doing a party in the newsroom. They got the numbers wrong initially. But here they broke into their afternoon coverage with a live special report. Watch.
Good day, everyone. We're coming on the air with breaking news about former President Donald Trump. A judge in New York just ordered him to pay about $187 million in penalties after he was found liable for fraudulent business practices. At issue in the trial, the fate of Mr. Trump's business empire and fortune, and whether he and other defendants, including the Trump Organization and his eldest sons, Eric and Don Jr., inflated the value of his properties to get better loan terms. Trump has repeatedly denied any wrongdoing in the case, and his legal team has said it would appeal the decision. Senior legal correspondent Laura Jarrett is with me. There's more than just the dollar amount he's facing.
That's right, Lester, but still the dollar amount staggering, $187 million as a civil fine.
That's wrong. She's got her numbers wrong. It's 364, ladies and gentlemen. And 3 years, he can't do any business in New York. His sons cannot do any business. I believe it's for 2 years in New York. Think about that. Just think what we're doing here. We're getting in between arrangements, business arrangements. You've got government bureaucrats inserting themselves. And why are they doing this? They wouldn't do it if it were anyone except for Donald Trump. But maybe they would. I mean, maybe that is entirely the problem here. Maybe what we're really at risk of is such a politicized society by which, if you're not on the team that they want you to be on, then you're canceled. You're done. You can't do business. They're going to come after you. They're going to find something somehow, some way. They're going to dig and dig and dig and dig. Again, it will get appealed. I just want to urge everyone not to over dramatize this. It's horrible, but you really need a proper court system, and the appellate court is really the one where this goes. I mean, think about what Colorado was trying to do. It had to go all the way to the Supreme Court. Now, we don't have the verdicts on that one yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be nearly unanimous that Colorado does not have the right to keep Donald Trump off the ballot in their state, and no state can actually do that. So in this particular case, banning him from doing business, what, he's going to have some kind of mass liquidation sale? Again, it reminds me of like Caracas, Venezuela. In the year, was it like 98 and 99 into 2000, Chavez comes to town and suddenly, I'll take this, I'll take that, I'll take this. I don't like you, I don't like you, and I don't like you. Therefore, give me your assets. The court decided, you got to give me the assets. I mean, this is very reminiscent of these really big state governments that are communist or socialist in nature. And so you've got to hope that the appellate court is going to see this with a clearer head from a political perspective. I mean, we're going to talk about that too, right? I think this helps him. Again, it helps him because every single time they go after this man, you know what happens? People are like, gee, I mean, I feel like he's been so far backed into a corner and they've been so out of control that now I'm going to vote for the guy. And so as much as they try to keep him away, as much as they try to go after him, they ultimately, I think, are starting to realize, maybe they're not, that it's just not a tactic that, politically speaking, ultimately is going to work. So a $364 million fine, outrageous. They want to shut him down. They want to put him out of business forever. They want him not running for the White House. Think about that. Like, think about that for 1 second. Like, if you're him, why do it? I mean, why? If he had just, I guess, decided to fade off into the wilderness, they wouldn't bother him anymore. But the fact that he keeps coming back makes them that much more rabid and that much more willing to totally destroy him and his family. That is going to cause Americans to pause and say, this is really not the America I know and love and want to be in, because it doesn't strike me as very fair. I mean, look, you've got all these rabid prosecutors. Frankly, you know, the money that has backed them and the reason they have gotten elected to so many of their positions as district attorneys, et cetera, is because they have campaign funding, political funding that's coming from one side of the aisle. And so the Republicans are going to have to be smarter about this as the RNC makes itself hopefully into something brand new, right? Because let's face it, the RNC needs a whole lot of help. That's why Ronna McDaniel, see, I did it again. I keep wanting to call her Ronald McDonald. Ronna McDaniel, as she goes packing, you need a team in there that really understands ground game, that understands how to use the money that donors are putting forward to get stuff done, to get stuff accomplished, because otherwise I think the country's actually going to be in a really tricky spot. I mean, you don't see Republicans going after Democrats all around the country. I mean, and yet Democrats are going after Republicans, specifically one particular Republican. So again, I just wanted to bring you that news. As you can tell, I am out and about and away, but checking in with you all, of course, as we continue to get the news in. Fani Willis, another big story today. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's gone too far. It really has. I hope you subscribe. I hope you like it. I hope you share it. And let's keep the conversation going. Let me know what you think in the comments below.